Joining the Monday edition of Journalist Hangout, I am Esther Mokwariola. Today on the show, Kaduna recruits 7,000 vigilantes to tackle banditry as gunmen invade mosque and kill 5 worshippers. And later on the show, NLC insists on strike despite government's overtures. I will be hanging out with Gani Kayode Balogun and Paul Dada. Journalist Hangout starts now. Right, let's begin with insecurity and the need to stop the reign of terror in the country. Now, gunmen suspected to be kidnappers opened fire on 2 commercial buses and abducted scores of passengers near Ochonyi village along Abuja-Lokoja highway. Well, a member of the vigilante group in the area who confirmed the abduction of the passengers said the gunmen came from the bush and shot the tires of 2 buses, which forced the drivers to stop. Paul, I want to start with you on this. You know, this insecurity situation has rather taken a new dimension. Will I say new dimension? Because this is something that we've seen over time now. But we want to understand, what are these factors fueling this recent or continued attacks, especially on our major highways?
Well, I don't think there's anything new, because it's been a 14-year battle, with insurgents, bandit attacks, terrorism, and all of that. It's just that, you see, banditry, kidnapping is a thriving business. You understand? Nobody gives up a thriving business easily. I mean, from the perspective of those who are doing it, of course, from our own perspective, it's criminality. You understand? It's criminality, it's despicable, it's condemnable, it's every bad thing you call it. But from the perspective of those who do it, it's a thriving business. It thrives, a multi-million naira business. So nobody gives up that kind of thing, that kind of business easily. Even willingly. Exactly. So willingly. So it is now incumbent on us who know that the thing is bad, we know that it's a crime, to make sure that we nip it in the bud. And if you read this story, if you follow the story, it was said that the police were on parole around that period, but they closed by 6 p.m. and these people the bandits struck to 7:33 p.m. or thereabout. Which means, that makes me think that those people waited till the police left so that it would be easier for them to do whatever they want to do. I think what we actually need to do is, maybe the police need to maintain longer hours of surveillance in that area, in that particular area. It also means that the battle against banditry, terrorism, criminality in Nigeria is not yet over. We need to tighten our seatbelts. We keep changing service chiefs, changing security heads, but we are not really getting to the root of the matter. So what we need to do is to fight it, and fight it to a standstill.
And fighting it to the standstill, what would you suggest, to nip this in the bud? Yeah,
one of the things that I'll suggest is the gathering of intelligence. If you also follow the story, the vigilantes, the guy that escaped, met vigilantes who come the area looking for the bandits. Many times, look, the people living in the localities are aware. They even know these people. That's the truth of the matter. They know these people. We've heard that bandits or terrorists even bribe these people, give them money, give them welfare packages. They bought their loyalty. So they put out keep quiet, even when they know that things are going to happen. So the security agencies, the authorities need to even befriend the people in the local areas who can give information before those things happen, even if those things are happening anonymously. What we need to do, it's more important for us to prevent these things before they happen than, now reacting. Most times what we do is we react. You understand? We need to be more proactive in getting these things off.
Indeed. Now, GKB, do you believe there are, let's say, systemic issues that needs to be addressed? Talking about this insecurity that we usually find on our highways more frequently than often.
Well, you've just nailed the thing squarely. For one, the level of poverty in Nigeria will not really throw away such banditry. because they expected that people must survive. While not condoning criminality, once you have a business that is thriving, people will throng into it. Number two, if the consequences are not really seen quickly, the other people just assume that that's the way of life and things for us to do. To me, the danger here is the news that the police closes at 6 p.m. It's not something that you want to hear, because security is a 24-hour assignment. People are supposed to be on shifts according to be so. So once you say that the police will retire, then we have to know what to do. That means that those plying those roads must ensure they were not on those roads after 7 o'clock. That's because that means their safety cannot be guaranteed. And even with the vigilante there is a system where they can go around in circles to throw off the scent of those what they are doing, and that to me is the danger there. But I believe, like he said, there are two things we need to do. It's just like the Americans did when they first got to North America. The whites did. You look for scouts within the local population, people who know the terrain, who can study footprints, who knows exactly where it leads, can tell you the number of times, how many minutes ago that the person left. That's what you require. Intelligence, not only by talking to them or giving them money, but by inculcating them and their style of something into your own system to ensure that once things like this happen, you have people who can do the analysis in such a way that will tell you all the routes. I want to say routes. All the routes that is moving around the area. But if you just ignore the local population and you assume that you get intelligence from the cities, then I'm afraid we have to keep doing what we are doing, because you know the definition of insanity. It's doing the same thing I expect in a different result.
Different results, yeah.
Indeed. But in that being said, what do you think should be explored? You've mentioned some critical areas that the government needs to look at, but are we missing something here? Are we looking at perhaps another strategy that we haven't harnessed so that we can, deal with this issue headlong, because it's becoming a reoccurring incident?
What are the countries with that amount of savanna, like us, what have they done to reduce crime? Have we studied that? Have we gone out of our way to look for countries?
I do remember, sorry to cut in, I do remember that the president, in his
inaugural?
In his campaign, that policy document said that there will be some sort of forest rangers combing the forest. I don't know what is happening. That was one of the measures he had in mind to, I had in mind. It was supposed to be a policy. It wasn't even a suggestion. It's a policy document, right? So forest rangers, I think that's the name they call it, who will be combing the forest 24/7, looking out for suspicious activities. I wonder what is happening to that.
If I understand forest rangers, they're particularly concerned about the wild and those who go into the forest to plunder, illegal.
But again,
no.
If you don't call them forest rangers, call them savannah rangers. It doesn't matter.
Whatever you want to call them.
As far as they get the job done. The job is key.
It's not about semantics. It's about the function.
I'm really concerned because of the white spaces. I know that this road very well. I know the Abuja-Konya road extremely well. And I even know the area they are talking about. So, usually it's a very lonely stretch of road that covers about 10, 20 kilometers. There you will not see any soul.
Yeah.
Usually at that time of the night.
Yeah.
So we expect that people at the level, some people have been employed, some people have been appointed. Let them do their job. It's been 100 days. Or will be 100 days tomorrow. By now we should have the policy position paper ready before the House of Reps or the Senate.
Exactly.
Giving us the way forward as far as the security apparatus of that particular section is concerned. Because whether we like it or not, these people are making money from this. And unless we provide them with an alternative that will be as lucrative, or you make it so dangerous for them to do that they have to leave it. You can't keep talking about something that we know the answers.
I think you made mention that poverty is a key underlying factor here.
Poverty, yes, but some people are simply adventurous. Some people will see them as heroes. Don't forget that throughout history, one man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist. It depends on the circumstance of the definition. So you have to look at the scenario basically. If they are part of the system, is it poverty that was driving them? If it was poverty, what else can be done to elevate that? If that cannot be elevated, what needed to be done? Do we need to use carrot and stick? Or, in my own opinion, go out to use all the stick that we can get until they are getting to the ground? Then we can now start working, because no country has been able to eliminate poverty.
Right.
No, it's everywhere. So no matter, don't believe what you see on TV screens or in movies. There are homeless people everywhere.
Exactly.
There are poor people everywhere. Even India is the capital of poverty.
The proportion are different.
So the proportion is what we are looking at, or the ability to control the perception. So I don't think we can simply say we have to eradicate poverty totally before we stop banditry. That's not possible. First, they stop the banditry, make it unattractive, make it dangerous, make sure their lives will pay for the consequences. Now, if that is done, you can now move in the other direction and provide palliatives.
All right, I understand we have a call. Austin calling us from Ojo here in Lagos. Austin, if you're live, please go ahead with your contribution.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma.
Good evening.
It's too obvious. The issue of this kidnapping, banditry, or whatever called, is just like this Yahoo. That when money hits any bank, the federal government will not trace it, because there's something, there's what they are gaining from it. Just like the way the Balogu said, Mr. Balogu, sorry for this.
Okay.
They are gaining a lot of things in it. How can you tell me that from Abuja to Lokoja, in open ground, police will leave by 6 o'clock, and the banditry will come in and hit the road and collect the main passengers? What is happening in this country, for goodness sake? There's a lot that is happening. Nothing is happening in the bank that the federal government will not know. Nothing is happening in this country that the federal government will not know. I should ask these areas.
All right. Thank you so much, Austin, for your contribution there. Paul, let's quickly have your final thoughts to build.
Yes, I do agree with GKB that poverty is part of it. While the lords behind it are not poor, but they easily use people who are poor. You know why I think so? Because by the time they catch these people, arrest them, some of them, they look very ragtag. You know, those are, whereas those who are behind it, the lords, the orgas, are faceless, the kingpins, you understand? So poverty is part of it. You know what he said reminded me of what happened in 2002. In 2002, there was Miss World riot in Kaduna. I was in Kaduna then. And then some people were caught. So they asked them, the people that were caught, what did they give you? They were saying it's like 200 naira. 200 naira.
Wow.
You know, so these are people that live by the day. You know, once you just feed them, probably give them tuwo or eba or something, and then they are okay. So go kill. So there should be a lot of mindship, rehabilitation, reorientation.
Indeed. Well, let's quickly move on to our next issue of discussion, where the feud between Ogun State government and the one of its council areas is getting messier. Human rights lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, has demanded the immediate release of the suspended chairman of Ijebu East local government area of the state, Wale Adedayo, from the custody of the Department of State Services, the DSS. Falana advised the governor, Dakwa Abiodun, to go to court if he felt the suspended council chairman had libeled him, and the embattled chairman has been in the DSS custody in Abeokuta since Friday. And a few days after he accused the governor of diverting funds of the local government in the state. GKB, let's have your assessment first on the situation involving the detention of Mr. Adedayo and, of course, by the Department of State Services and the statement by Femi Falana. What are your assessment on this situation?
Well, let me start with a comment. It's very clear. I know Wale Adedayo very well.
Right.
Very, very well. I've known him for over 30 years. So I just want to get out of the way. So people don't accuse me of being biased. The governor has shown lack of class when it comes to this. An allegation was made. It's an allegation. You have two choices. Go to court or go back to the court of public opinion with the facts. It's not rocket science. If I told you that you've not paid me, Show proof you've paid me. If you say that local government is owing the state, show them what the money you are deducting, what exactly the money is for. If they are for projects, show them the projects that the money went into.
Yeah.
You don't need to go to school to understand that for every action there will be a reaction. You cannot, in all reasonable conscience, become the judge, jury, executioner. In your own case, if you've been libeled, fine. You are the governor. You have immunity. But you can simply go to court and tell them you want to clear your name. And like I said, this thing will not take 24 hours. Just take all the paperwork, take the front page of the Punch or Tribune, whatever paper you read, and put it there. That when this man resumed on 2021, the money we've been giving him since then as chairman. And as of last month, he has collected ABCD. So we are not owing the local government a shishi. By taking him to the EFCC or your people taking him to the EFCC, you are just making him into a matter. You are creating a hero out of the man who does not really care about anything. He has made up his mind to be like this. Nothing will change his mind. Wale, this is not the first governor that Wale Adedayo will fight. So it's not really that he's afraid. He's not afraid of the state apparatus. In fact, he relishes facing the such structures. So I think the governor or his advisors mismanaged this entire thing.
Indeed. Paul, what are your thoughts before we delve into
honestly, two adjectives kept coming to my mind. Infertile and puerile. That's on the part of the state governor, honestly. Somebody wrote a letter to an elder statesman, the former governor of Ogun State. Yeah, right? Yeah, alleging a letter to a governor, to a former governor, who is an elder statesman, who is the leader, a political leader in that state, a voice, someone with experience, asking him to persuade the governor to please release funds, an allegation. And then the next thing, the man was arrested. The next thing, the lawmakers in the local council suddenly remembered that the man had mismanaged certain funds and suspended him.
And his mates went to...
It's kind of funny. And this says a lot about the kind of society we belong to, where men are stronger than institutions. And that is why councillors will suddenly wake up and say, okay, this man did this. That is why the DSS will allow themselves to be used by, for God's sake, the DSS is not supposed to allow itself to be used by even a governor to fight his personal battle. Now, GKD says that if you feel that the allegations are wrong, clear your name. Using strong arms, will not solve the problem. In fact, what has happened has not done anything to improve the image of the governor. It has not done anything to make people believe that what is alleged to have done, he did not do them. What has happened has further damaged or dampened, what people think. I mean, dampened the image of the governor. In fact, it's now lower in the thinking of many people.
Yes,
that's the truth. People do not estimate. You see, look, it's very unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate that this will be happening. I think what Mr. Femi Falana said is correct. This man has been in detention since when?
Friday,
Saturday, Sunday,
Monday.
You have not charged him to court. He's in detention more than 24 hours.
After the fact, yeah.
What exactly is the problem? They said there was a petition by the state government that he incited public disturbance. Take him to court. Take him to court. If you are sure of your fact, but look, this thing is just persecution. It's just a witch hunt. It's just... that's the way...
sometimes you think that we've gone beyond this level, especially in the western part of Nigeria. And then you come up with cases of the Babakekpe mentality that seem to be regenerating in our politics. When governors suddenly realized that they are bigger than the states and that they can do whatever they like. It's unfortunate because we are lucky that some people who lived around Alagbole and people who live around Axis are not on this program. So I
Thank you very much.
I cannot mention what they call
Like our guy BJ.
because I don't want to call this infantile or maybe pettiness. Because the man has so much to do. The Lagos-Abeokuta Express Road is worse than the worst road in Afghanistan. Lagos-Abeokuta, no, it's A2. Lagos-Ibadan, in Nigeria today, Lagos-Ibadan is classified as A1. Lagos-Abeokuta is A2. It's so bad, once you leave Ahmadiyya, you have to dance reggae all the way until you get to Abeokuta. There is a governor on seat. The road from Agbara, where most of the money is being generated from the companies there, that road don't wear white. Or else by the time you get home, you will be black. There's a governor doesn't see that. I can give you portions of areas in Ogun State that are derelicts. That doesn't concern the governor. What concerns the governor is a local government chairman asking that please account for our money that you are keeping on our behalf. Because maybe he forgot that he's still holding their money. And he just like to remind him that, these are Ijebu's local governments. We don't know whether some of our money are still with you. Please let us know what happened to them. By doing this, you have solidified the impression that you are not really concerned about governance. And you are more concerned about vendetta.
Exactly.
Because this is something that you can easily ignore and tell your commissioner for finance to go ahead and release it. Don't even have to mention it. Don't even put your name there. Just stay there and say, okay, Mr. Commissioner, please take a page in one of the newspapers and list out the monies we've released to Ijebu's local government since Mr. Adedayo became the chairman. And then people will now read it and say, okay, what else do you want the governor to do? You see what the governor has tried now. Even if I don't give you all the money you're entitled to, has given you enough to pay salaries and to buy fuel.
And the thing is that it is not a new allegation. State governments have consistently been accused of holding on to funds meant for local governments. Former President Muhammadu Buhari said it. You know, it is, and it's not something that is unknown. Whether it's a different case with Governor Dapo Abiodun, I don't know. Okay, but that is easy to prove that no, what this man is saying is wrong. But it is not a new allegation. So should every governor, for example, should DSS start arresting every local government chairman that complains, publicly? Should councillors start impeaching, or start suspending every local government chairman that complains? A lot of local government chairmen are complaining. Many of them cannot do so openly. Right. But they are complaining. And that is the truth. Nobody is fooled here. Look at development in local government. The local government is supposed to bring government closer to their people. Many people don't even know the names of their chairmen. Many people don't know the names of their councillors. Look at all those streets. Some of the streets, potholes everywhere. Roads, local governments are not able to deliver the dividends of democracy to their people, partly because of corruption on their own part, and partly because funds meant for grassroots development are not released. There are governors who siphon this or who divert this, use it for whatever they want to use it for, or who think that those people, maybe they think that they are not mature enough, or they are not wise enough to handle those funds. But that is not, it defeats the spirit of federalism. It is working against the people.
It's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate, really.
This is supposed to be the level where people know the effects of governance. When the IBB administration gave the primary schools back to the local government to run, it got to a point that local government chairmen and their wives started using teachers as ADCs and their young girls. For you to see the level of corruption as it permeates down. We have a problem in this country, and the problem is basic. Our people assume that power is automatically bestowed on you wisdom. It does not. It doesn't give you wisdom. If you are a bad man before you go into service, you'll still be a bad man when you get into service. It takes the grace of God to really throw away that temptation to be superior.
Right.
Because you see some people that you know their leverage, you know their pedigree, and suddenly they don't pick your calls anymore. And then you wonder, what has changed? You became a minister just 2 weeks ago.
All right, let's quickly take this call from Ogun State. Adeniran, if you are on, please go ahead with your contribution. Hello, Adeniro, you're on. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Hi, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I would like to contribute a little bit to the Ogun State alleged diversion or whatsoever. Yes, is it bad for somebody else to complain that the allocation given or he didn't receive any allocation? For crying out loud, we are suffering in Ogun State. We are suffering in Ogun State. There are many roads. Go to Ishun axis, go to Jebu-Ode axis, go to everywhere, even close to governor's maybe town or village in Peru there. Go and see the kind road built. Is it a crime for a local government chairman to complain? Where we have laws, where we have constitution, where we have rule of law. Is it so bad that you can't even complain? Is it so bad to that extent? Right. And besides,
right, Adeniro, I would like to thank you so much, Adeniro.
Paul has complained on your behalf.
Well, let's quickly go on a very quick break. You're still on to Journalist Hangout. We'll have more discussions when we come back. Stay with us.
I need something we go ginger me. We tom I dey breathe for it now. I dey run kilometer. That's why I dey come.
You're heading home from work. In the busy traffic, your car breaks down. Car horns blast. Your car is pushed aside. You call for help. Phone battery blinks and dies. You take a cab. Few miles, tire bursts. What a day. Frustrated, sweating, and tired. Nearing home, darkness envelops the street. Wow! Just one house is bubbling with life. Brilliant lights, loud music, smiling wife, all welcome you.
We alone have light?
Yes, it's JRB Solar Energy Systems, my anniversary present to us.
No matter how dark life is, the sun is gonna shine on everything you do. JRB solar inverters, batteries, solar panels, solar streetlights and more. Telephone 0906 752 1111. Email sales@jrbsolar.com. JRB, the sun is gonna shine on everything you do.
Like many things in life, making great music is a process. And a key part of that is the right data and the data that helps you understand what needs to be done and how to do it and what sound will connect with listeners.
No, bring it up. Let's go everybody see.
Whatever aspect of life you're into, enjoy the journey. 9 Mobile's got you covered.
Dial *301# now.
9 Mobile.
Welcome back. Now, any measure capable of stemming the tide of insecurity in Nigeria should not be spared. In this regard, the Kaduna State Governor, Senator Uba Sani, has flagged off a training of 7,000 recruits for the State Vigilante Service. Now, the program is aimed at complementing efforts of other security agencies to tackle kidnapping, armed robbery, and other related crimes in the state. Meanwhile, 5 worshippers were killed in an attack on a mosque by armed men in the state. Let's share the story with you.
In a bid to enhance security in Kaduna State, authorities have initiated the training of 7,000 youths selected from all 23 local councils. The youths are set to join the Kaduna Vigilante Service, a move aimed to bolster the state's security infrastructure. Despite improvements in security, certain communities still face attacks. The governor is actively addressing these challenges through the recruitment of these 7,000 individuals into cadres. Once they successfully complete their training, these recruits will collaborate with federal security agencies to combat criminal elements and safeguard local communities.
So I'm happy we've also given jobs to our very energetic men and women. Our Kaduna Vigilance Service will also play a key role in terms of giving them the intelligence they need, as well as increasing the number of boots on ground. Because, like I said, the Commissioner of Police is very supportive. The DSS is very supportive. The Army are very supportive, as well as the Navy. So they are going to work with them, and we will make sure that they work in line with our laws of the land.
All the arrangements have been made, and we are assuring you, sir, that throughout the weeks they are going to spend here, we are going to do what we expected to do, and we are going to get the result at the appropriate time. Thank you very much, sir.
Elsewhere, the governor is seeking to improve rural-urban connectivity, which will benefit at least 30 villages. He launched a 21.7-kilometer Anchau-Gada Pala Road project in Kubau and in Kara local government areas.
And the reason why we have decided to quickly start the construction of this road is simply because it will revitalize the economies of the rural areas, particularly those 32 villages that are within this community. So at the end of the day, between Kubau local government and the Ikara local government, we are planning to construct 52-kilometer roads within our communities.
With an expected completion period of 12 months, it reflects the government's commitment to improving infrastructure and stimulating economic developments in the region. Lupe Asom, TVC News, Kaduna.
Well, let's start this conversation with you now, Paul. Looking at the situation now, what do you make of this development, particularly as it concerns Kaduna security landscape? Do you think it will make any difference with the 7,000 recruits?
Well, I expect it to make a difference. We will know when they start functioning, but I think it's a whole good idea. The good thing is that these ones were trained by the police. They are supposed to work with the security agents. The governor did this because he realized that there is a shortage of manpower to handle insecurity in the state. We know that Kaduna is a state bedeviled with lots of much insecurity, you know, bandit attacks, community clashes, you know, and all of that. So I think it's a proactive measure. It's also strengthens the fact that we need more to do more in the area of security. I remember the IGP said recently that the police needs to recruit more than 90,000 personnel more. So we have shortage of manpower.
Even at the federal level.
Yeah, even at the federal level. So it's good. It remains to be seen how they will perform. But for me, I think we must get to a point where we just, you are reading my mind, sir. Where we just have to. And these are some of the people that can be drafted into state police. Right. You know, the difference is that these ones can't carry arms. The difference is that they cannot face the firepower of, I don't know what, I wonder what they're going to use. Maybe they'll carry their guns, or they will not carry arms at all. Or all of that. Wizoo and whatever. So we need state police, honestly. Right. The federal police, the police we have now, as we have now, we can't deal with this thing. We can't deal with it decisively. You know, he said something the other time. He said, you cannot be doing the same thing the same way and expect a different result. Right. You just have
to find another way to handle things. Change our approach. All right, before we continue with this discussion, I understand that the former suspended local government chairman, that is Mr. Wale Adedayo, has been released from the DSS custody rather. So that story just happened just a few minutes ago. So GKB, you were mentioning earlier on that this doesn't warrant, you know, someone staying behind bars. Let's not talk of being held in DSS custody. So, but what
it's not even the problem of the DSS. If he has abused his office, that's ICPC. That's abuse of those. But when it comes to money, then it's EFCC. But it's the complainant.
No, they said accuse him of inciting public disturbance. I mean, public disturbance.
Nothing had to do with his letter.
Yes. So maybe that's why they think DSS should be involved. But
and I have nothing against anybody being involved, but the case ought not to have gotten to that point in the first place. I think we are using a sledgehammer to try to clear gnats. But this sound is like the Volkswagen adverts of the old days. You can't kill the beetle.
Indeed, you can't kill the beetle. You need to handle it in such a manner that it doesn't destroy all the things around it. But Paul, let me have your perspective on this finally before we move on.
Well, I don't think I need to shake hands with DSS for releasing this man. It should have been released earlier. So it's not. I'm not lauding. I'm not praising them for releasing the man. I am even saying we should have released him earlier. But let's see how events unfold. Releasing him is not enough. Right. Let the governor clear its name, and let's reduce the politics involved in the whole thing.
Yeah, indeed. I would like to agree with you on that aspect. So sticking on our discussion with the Kaduna new recruits, GKB, we understand that Governor Obasani mentioned that the recruitment will help to curb banditry, kidnapping, and related crimes. But what primary roles now do you think the vigilantes should play in achieving this goal?
I think we are still burying our heads in the sand. We know what the solution is. But we don't, for political reasons or for regional reasons, for some funny reasons, some people just don't like the idea of state police. Meanwhile, we have aspects of state police all over the place. In fact, the way Nigeria is structured, there should be local government police.
Yeah.
There should be campus police. Yeah. There should be railway police.
But are we ready for such?
We are beyond ready. We are looking at ready in the rear view mirror. That's how far gone we are gone. Because right now, as I'm telling you, the state police template itself will soon be outgrown with technology. By the time we get to it, okay, we want to do this. Because we should be about 10 years into state police by now. Because we should now be talking about devolving power from the state police down to the local government police. And then specialized arms of the police will now be created for new challenges. We keep doing things in circle, just like EFCC came when the police anti-financial crimes is already there. Then you create this. We like creating agencies to do the same things. Personally, I don't see why trafficking should be a federal offense. It should be purely local. It should not even be a state offense. In some countries that I hate mentioning names, there are things you will be arrested for that will go to the sheriff's office before you get to the state patrolman. You have to, the crime must be such a large one for the FBI to be involved.
Yeah.
All crimes are local. That's why we keep getting it wrong. We keep assuming that things are not being done. I've said on this program, and I will say it again. In this Lagos, in Oshodi, in the 80s, if you have a new tenant, you must inform the DPO. There's a form you must fill with pictures that this man is leaving my house. And this is the new tenant. In this Lagos, I'm not talking about 200 years ago. I'm talking about in the 80s. Because I was the secretary of our street. So I know. The forms are there. I don't know whether it's there now. DPO must know every landlord. You must have a file at the police station. If somebody is missing, it's that file they will go to. Because you now claim that he lives in that address. But it's not there. And they'll pick the landlord. Things have been done well in this country before they were distorted by the military and the quasi-government that followed it. We have done things in the past that works. We must go to the state police, and in a few years' time, we must also go to the local government police. Then we must go to city police. Because some crimes are local. They don't need to go to jail. They should be taken home to remand.
So, but perhaps, apologies for breaking your thoughts there, but perhaps these vigilante groups could be a stepping stone towards welcoming this idea. That
they cannot access guns. Equality
but you have to try them first before you finally give them guns, because you have to be sure that they wouldn't abuse the power given to them in the first place.
Those who are now in the federal police, some of them not abusing the power already. Look, there's nothing like a perfect system. It does not exist. There are crimes all over the world done by the people giving the mandate to protect us.
Yeah.
It's not peculiar. It will still happen. Like somebody said, they thought that kidnapping will disappear. Kidnapping will never disappear. It will be minimized. Banditry will never disappear. It will be contained. So that's how people use certain languages and laugh. Because the genie is out of the bottle. To put it back will require a lot of effort. 20 years down the line, there will still be pockets of kidnapping in some areas of Nigeria. You can't run away from the fact that people are greedy. And they want quick
human
money.
Nature.
They started killing armed robbers in 1971. Armed robberies have not stopped. Almost 50 years after the fact. What you try to do is to minimize its impact on society. Because if there are no crimes, there will be no need for the police. So there must be a consequence for something else to happen for you to write it. I don't think we need to, all this nitpicking depresses me. Because these young men will just be, I pray, will just be used as cannon folder. Because what will they do if somebody is coming with AK-47, about 60? How do you want them to defend themselves? The policemen they will be with, they will have guns. But how many guns can now counter those people? They just have the sheer numbers. They don't have the armory or the ammunition to fight back.
Indeed.
That, to me, is the danger of putting these young men in the line of fire when you have not prepared them adequately. But the laws that guarantees that they can be protected.
Well, you know,
they should be wearing protective vests.
They should be kitted, adequately.
Seriously.
From what you say. But Paul, taking a cue from what GKB has said, we need to really wrap up on this because we need to go to the next discussion. Where would you see, or what would you propose the government does or do at this point in time, knowing definitely that perhaps state police might be the way to go?
State police, state police, state police. Already, this current police, as it is being funded by state governors heavily. I remember that the Lagos State Security Trust Fund was instituted by former Governor Fashola. And at that time, the fund raised, raised fund for, buying operational vehicles and all of those things. And up till now, in fact, with the advent of Lagos State Security Trust Fund, crime was reduced in Lagos. Now, if governors can fund the police, you can rest assured that serious state governments can fund their state police. And I agree that you should even get to local government police. In the US, there's even a capital police. Police, just policing the equivalent of National Assembly. You understand? In the US. Why can't we get to that level? We cannot continue like this. We don't have enough manpower. And a situation where, for example, maybe an Oyebanji in Lagos, who has never, a policeman, Oyebanji in Lagos, who has never been to the north, is now posted to a community in Maiduguri. He does not understand the language. He cannot be a successful policeman in that place. But a son of the soil who speaks the language of the environment, who understands the environment, is likely to do better. You understand? You don't post an Uche, for example, you post an Uche to Katsina or Sokoto, who cannot speak the language of the environment. They will not even trust him because they know he's not one of them. Yeah. You understand? But homegrown police, let the Chukwumeri Jays, the Uchenas, let them, police communities in Himo, remote communities in Abia. You understand? And let the Banjos and the Badejos, take care of communities in Oshu and all of those. Right. That's the way it should work.
Indeed. Well, let's quickly move on to our next issue of discussion. Bearing in mind last-minute intervention, a 2-day warning strike by the organized labor will rock Nigeria beginning on Tuesday. And President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, Joe Ajero, says the union is insisting on the warning strike and there will be no drama of last-minute suspension. And Ajero said the strike became imperative due to the refusal of the government to engage relevant stakeholders for dialogue. Well, let's hear the NLC president.
To embark on a total and indefinite shutdown of the nation within 14 working days or 21 days from today until steps are taken by the government to address the excruciating mass suffering and the impoverishment being experienced around the country. What are we asking for? That these issues be addressed. If we don't talk, after shutdown, we'll still come back to talk. So which one is better? I want you to understand how we work. Even at the last minute, last hour, to the expiration of our ultimatum, the trade unions will talk.
NLC President Joe Ajero speaking there. Now, GKB, we understand fuel subsidy removal and given by the historical context by which everything started from. What issues or what lessons, rather, could you say we can draw from previous strikes we've had concerning this situation or this matter that seems to be lingering now and then?
Well, not let's sugarcoat it. Things are hard. For everybody. Things are extremely hard. But that is not an excuse to commence a juvenile strike just because you can. You've agreed with government at a point in time that there will be palliatives. The palliatives are just kicking in. I have nothing against them going on morning strike if they think they will get them anything. But you and I know that this is your grandstanding. Because technically, what will the 2-day warning strike achieve? Apart from heaping more sufferings
on the people.
but they will not access their money, and will not have access transportation to work. And some who are paid daily will now suffer for those 2 days. Like I said, things are extremely hard. So let's pretend they are not. But is this the best option here for Labour? I think not.
So what would you think?
I think that what Labour ought to have done was to make sure that the moment the federal government agreed that the state governments will handle palliatives, that their state branches started dealing directly with those governors and no longer make it a national issue. That's what I would have done. If I were to be the NLC president, the moment it was agreed that state governors are going to be in charge of palliatives in their states, the state branches of NLC, or state branches of whatever name they call themselves, by today they will be holding the jugular of those governors because they will know, they have the data of what exactly is going on and how it is spread. We keep talking about federation, we keep behaving like a unitary state. It's irritating because you've agreed you are going to go on strike, fine. But you also said you are dealing with federal government, wonderful. But you have agreed that this thing will go to the local, the states. Fantastic. I have not heard a Labour state chairman issue a statement on what the state governors are doing regarding this. And we keep saying that all palliatives are local. You now go on strike. Will I change the fundamentals in Borno State, where the governor is already going beyond the call of duty, even before palliatives were created? Or will it change anybody's mind fundamentally in a state like Osun, where the governor has made up his mind to do ABCD? Or in some states I cannot mention, or I have not even mentioned anything at all. Instead, we start going after the governors. Unless we start doing that as labor unions or as individuals or as journalists, these people will get away with murder. We just keep blaming the federal government for everything. Don't get me wrong.
I get you very
They have their own faults. Yeah. They have their own faults at the federal level. But I think, in my own little way, that by today, the NLC should be talking to us via their state branches on what the governors are doing, or what they are planning to do, or what they've agreed to do, putting labor into context.
Indeed, well put out there from GKB. But Paul, would you agree perhaps that this is a wrong path that NLC has followed, and they should have, devised other means altogether?
Absolutely. When I heard about this strike, I just said, is there no other thing Labour can do apart from going on strike? I remember the other time that they said they were going on strike here. I think it was Labour. One of my friends, a professor in one of the universities, was like, he saw I wrote something on my WhatsApp status, was like, no, not again. Even people are tired. People are tired. The workers are tired of going on strike because of the way it cripples the economy.
The hardship.
Now, this is by no means, I'm not trying to undermine the suffering. We are all in it together. I know that what I buy a liter of fuel is different from, the amount I buy a liter of fuel is different from what I used to buy it before. So we all know that. I know that. All of us here, we know that there is a rising cost of commodities and everything. So I am not living on planet Mars. So we understand it. Now, we also understand that government is rolling out its palliatives already. You may not agree. You may think that they should do more. Fine. That's a valid argument. You may not even agree with the way it's being done. You have that right. But then, are there no other ways of engaging? He talked about setting up monitoring organs in the states, Labour, monitoring what these governors are doing. The other time, some people were joking on the social media that the only governors they can trust with this 5 billion given to them by federal government, they mentioned Zulum and maybe one or two, Abdulrahman of Kwara and all of that. Now, if that is true, why can't Labour, monitor these governors and make sure that the 5 billion other palliatives they are collecting are used judiciously? Besides, see, the cabinet is just taking shape. Now, you just have a minister of labor and productivity who is supposed to lead now, who I believe is supposed to lead the dialogue, the engagement on behalf of the federal government. I'm not even sure the man has even settled down to even understand all the issues. Probably still getting briefings. I am thinking that what the Labour should have been doing now is to seek an audience with the man, explain their own, their own position to the man, talk about what they feel is going wrong with the way the thing is being done, and then let mind meet. But Every time, strike. Every time, strike. At some point, I just hope that we don't get impervious to it. FJ just, okay, they don't know more than strike.
Nothing more than that.
When you are tired, you come back. You know that kind of thing. And then, even some people are getting tired. Already I learned that TUC pulled out of the...
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to discuss.
The TUC pulled out of it. That TUC doesn't believe in what the NLC is doing.
And also the NECA is not really not sure of...
The other time NLC was going on strike, Lagos State Civil Servants said, we are not joining you. You understand? So there should be other ways of dealing with this. Everything cannot be strike.
The strike is even supposed to be the ultimate weapon.
Exactly.
Something you use as last resort. Exactly. Now we use it basically to play table tennis. Before you say anything, anybody wants to fight with his wife. It's a strike. the soup money is not enough. It's strike. We are making serious issues look pedestrian and petty. No government will respect anybody who assumes that the best course of action is also to go. So like I said, there are options. I expect that by today, instead of talking about strike, it will roll out the report from the states about the preparedness of the state governments and the ones that are not doing well, and then name shame them. So people will know that, fine, federal government has given X, Y, Z, this government has refused to do anything about it. And it's just ordering cars or buying new houses. So people will know, but you keep shielding people at that level and then blaming the federal government for everything. And we will not solve our problem until we stop that mindset. And there are people that are local government, there are people at state government that also have access to money that belongs to us.
And looking at this from a global scale, it would spark, a level of, it will, in terms of the economy and in terms of the implications this could have on the global, on the polity. What, on a large scale, do you foresee this strike, having on the economy, not just for the 2 days warning strike now? I'm talking about the effects that this strike could have on the long term.
Well, they'll go on strike. We'll have challenges for 2 or 3 days. Then we'll go back to business as usual. They'll go back because we've learned, and you and I know, that the more they do this, the less their supporters will follow them. And you get to a point that people simply ignore them. And one thing that the labor union cannot afford is relevance. All over the world. So most of the time they know when to pull back, apply the brakes. But if you keep going around this route, keep going along this route, ultimately to get to a point that your supporters will simply leave you behind. That to me is the danger. Because we need a very strong labor union to checkmate government at every level. I'm a believer in that fundamental right, to fight for your rights. They should not turn into a joke, so that in 3, 4, 5 years, when you say you are going on strike, people just ignore you. And then our people will continue to suffer, because there are no people to defend their interests at that level.
So, Paul, let me have your perspective now. What implications now do you think this strike could have on Nigeria's standing in the global community, especially in terms of the economic policies?
Of course, strikes do not help the economy. It leads to sufferings, more suffering. It leads to, people becoming poorer. Nigeria losing lots of revenue in those 2, 3 days. In fact, if you quantify what Nigeria is likely to lose in those 2 days of strike, it's not something that we should be talking about. It's not something that it's not experience should be having in an economy that is not even strong. So whether it's a strike for 1 day or 2 days or 1 week, it's going to have a serious impact. And that is why labor should also rethink its strategy. Like he said, strike should be a last minute result. But I do not think we need a strike now. I do not think we need it now. Honestly, I don't think we do.
Well, let's wait and see how things unfold. Tomorrow is expected for the strike will begin, but let's wait and see how things will turn out. Well, that's about it on today's edition of Journalist Hangout. Join us again tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch a repeat broadcast of it tonight at 11. You can also join us again on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. And we are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. And before I go, I'd like to thank my guests here in the studio, Gani Balogun. Thank you so much for your insights.
Always a pleasure.
And Paul Dada, it's a pleasure as always to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
I'm Esther Mokwariela. Many thanks for watching. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Are you worried about the safety and security of your home at night? Do you wish to know when intruders come close to your home? Or do you want to protect what matters to your family from anywhere at any time? What if there was a convenient, affordable way to keep surveillance in your home without having to worry about wires, installations, or heavy light bills? Introducing the incredible Sidebulb HD Cam, the robotic 360-degree two-way torque camera with action tracking technology. Sidebulb is the ultimate solution for discreet and powerful surveillance. It's so easy to install, and the app lets you rotate and view the video from your Sidebulb in real time from any smartphone. You can drop in from anywhere and check in with our two-way talk technology. Talk and listen at the same time.
Hello, Mommy.
Hey, sweetie. I'll be home soon, okay?
Sidebulb's advanced tracking technology locks onto motion and tracks in real time. Set the siren alarm to go off when motion is detected and keep intruders away. Check in on your home while you're away. Make sure the kids got home safely. Interact with visitors at your doorway or surprise a trespasser.
Surveillance in a light bulb. I was amazed at the 360-degree rotation. It gives me a full view of my house and I can check in on my kids. The footage is clear and the night vision is so impressive. The best part, I can add multiple sidebulbs for a complete home surveillance.
I really like my Sidebulb. It's so easy to use. I just downloaded the app, I put it on my phone, and I add it up and run in about 3 minutes.
Traditional surveillance systems are bulky, expensive, and difficult to install. But with Sidebulb HD Cam's innovative design, installation is as fast as changing a light bulb, and it's made for indoor and outdoor